Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning.
Good Tvach, Shavua Tov. Okay, we are learning Mishnah Shabbos, Perek Beis, Chapter 2, Mishna Daled, Mishna 4. I'd like to dedicate this morning's learning memory of my mother, Mrs. Shalom, Mr. Rabinowitz. Didn't help. Okay. Lo yikav ad mishfefer shal beitza. A person should not make a hole in an empty eggshell. Yumalena shemen, and fill it with oil. Yitnena al pi ner, and put it on top of put it at the opening of a lamp. Bishvil shenaba tefes, so that it would drip into the lamp. Afilu shel cheres, even if it's made out of earthenware. Now, unfortunately, I don't know how we'll be able to see this picture. Okay. But this picture here, this was the typical lamp.
Yeah.
This was a typical oil lamp. Okay. You basically had this, round thing with a little extension at the end with a hole, whereas the wick with the flame came out of. And it was by the opening that you would add the oil. Right? Now, in this case, instead of just filling oil inside, he decided he's going to be thrifty. And he took an empty eggshell. How to get empty? You'll figure that out yourself. Okay, he took an empty eggshell, put a hole in the bottom, and made the eggshell into a reservoir, so that the eggshell sits at the opening of the lamp, and there's oil in it, and it drips out slowly. And you have a wick that's inside the lamp, extending to the opening at the end. And that's the contraption that he's making.
That's what we say in Bob Man Lincoln.
Very good. So that's the case here. The case here is that he decided to make a little of his own kind of contraption in order to, have the oil drip in. Now, the problem here is, so the Mishna says you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't make this whole thing. Why is that? Because there is a halacha that, let's say you have a regular oil candle, right? You have an oil, you have a lamp, you have oil, you have a wick in it, and it's burning. And now you decide you want to take some oil out of it while it's burning. The halacha is you're not allowed to do that. That's considered machabe. It's considered extinguishing the fire. Why? Because there's a lot of explanations to it, but one explanation is that by taking out some of the oil, you are now lessening the duration of its being able to burn. And when you directly do that in the oil, that's considered the malach of kibui, of extinguishing. Okay? Now, in this case, the concern is that by making this kind of reservoir with the eggshell, and the oil drips into the lamp, where the wick is going to draw the oil, we're afraid that people are going to think that it's okay to remove some of the oil from the eggshell. That's where we're concerned. They see that it's the eggshell, it's not the actual lamp. So they're going to think, I can go ahead, being it's not like really one thing, I can go ahead and take some of the oil out of the eggshell and it's okay. But it's not okay. Because being that you set this oil in a way that it's going to be the oil that's supplying the fuel for the wick and for the lamp. So now this is the oil of this lamp. And by taking out some of the oil, it would be considered kibui. And therefore, to prevent people from making this mistake, the halacha is you can't make this contraption. You can't make this eggshell reservoir sitting on top, dripping the oil in, because we're afraid people are going to come and take the oil out. So you can't do it. Now, a regular oil lamp, right? Forget about this whole contraption with the eggshell reservoir. You've got the regular oil lamp. You put the oil in. Period. Oil straight into the lamp. You're allowed to do that on Shabbos? I mean, not on Shabbos. I'll do that before. Of course, this is all talking about before Shabbos. You're setting this up before Shabbos, that it should go into Shabbos doing this. Is you allowed to set that up before Shabbos? You certainly are. Why aren't we concerned that people are going to take some of the oil out? The answer is because people understand that. People know you're not allowed to do it, and they see this is the oil in the lamp, so they're going to know they're not allowed to do it. It's only when you don't have the oil in the lamp itself, but you're adding something else. You're taking this eggshell, or as we're going to see soon, a different example, and you're placing it on top of the mouth of the lamp. That's where we're concerned. People are going to think, it's okay to do, and therefore that you may not do. And then the Mishna says, "Afilu ishal cheres." Let's say the case is not an eggshell. Let's say you took this little earthenware, this little clay thing, right? And a little clay jug, and you bore a hole on the bottom, and that's how you're setting this whole thing up. You're putting the oil into the clay jug. It's dripping oil into the lamp. The Mishnah says same thing. Even if instead of an eggshell you're using a clay little vessel, it's also going to be the same. Oh, look, you can't do it. Why would I think otherwise? The Mishnah has to speak it out. And the answer is because anything that's made, a clay vessel is typically not considered very clean. So anything you put into that clay vessel, no one's going to eat it anymore. No one's going to eat it. Typically, you'd assume that perhaps a person decides that they want to take off some of the oil out of the lamp because they want to, put it on their salad or something, or they need it to eat because it was a common thing to eat. But in clay, right, where it gets dirty, then there's less that we might think there's less of a concern for people to take it out because no one's going to eat it from there. Nonetheless, the Mishnah still says, even if it's made out of cheres, even if it's made out of this clay, you still cannot do this because we're still afraid they'll take it out for some other purpose. If not for eating, they may take it out for some other reason. And again, we're concerned of that because it's this extra thing that's put into the lamp, and therefore you can't do it. For Rabbi Yehuda Mater, that what we just read was the first opinion, the Tanakama. Rabbi Yehuda says permissible. He's not afraid. He's not concerned that people are going to start taking out the oil from it. They see the eggshell is sitting there in the lamp. That's enough for people to realize that you're not allowed to do it just like regularly.
Rabbi Yehuda's muttering both the clay and the...
Yes, correct. Right, he's permitting both cases.
Do you think that if he takes the oil out, the thing is going to burn less?
Well, that's why you're not allowed to do it.
Off.
That's why you're not allowed to do it. Avol, however, the Mishnah continues. Let's say the craftsman who's making this lamp, right, builds it in a way that it has this reservoir. That's how he builds it. He builds it in a way that you have the lamp, it has an opening, and he builds it that on the opening there's this kind of reservoir thing to add the oil into, and then the oil drips out of that. That's how the whole lamp was made. Now, as the bartender points out, whoever made it this way, whether it's made by a craftsman, whether it's made by the Balabayas himself, but he made it, into a permanent professional lamp that has a reservoir. Mm-hmm. Then already mutter, then you're allowed to do it. Because that is one vessel. People understand if this is how it was made, that therefore it's one vessel, and they're going to realize it's one thing, it's the oil for this lamp, you can't take it out. It's only when you kind of take something extra, something from the outside, something that's not part of it, and that's what you sit on top of the mouth of the lamp. That's where we're concerned, according to the Tanakama, that somebody may take out some of the oil, therefore no doing it. Next case, okay? Now again, take a look at this picture. Take a look at this one, okay? Now here's the lamp, okay? The oil is sitting in a bowl next to the lamp. And the wick goes from the bowl with the oil into the lamp out the end. So basically, there is no oil being put inside the lamp in any way, but the wick is long enough to draw the oil from the bowl next to it and burn through the lamp. So the wick is going to draw the oil from this bowl. It's going to go through the whole wick to the edge where the fire is. That's the case. So says the Mishnah, a person should not fill a bowl with oil, and place it next to the lamp, and he'll put the end of the wick inside of the bowl, so that it will draw. That's our case. The Mishnah says you should not do that. Why should you not do that? Because again, we're afraid that somebody may come and take out some of the oil from that other bowl, right? You got that other bowl. Again, it's sitting next to the lamp. It's not the lamp itself. Here too, we say that you could not do it because we're concerned that someone might remove some of the oil from the bowl. And again, have the same problem. Now, in this case, it's different because the wick is literally in there, right? The wick is literally in that bowl. But being that the oil is not in the lamp, it's in something else next to the lamp, there again, the Chachamim were concerned that somebody may come and take out some of the oil from the bowl and think it's okay to do. Rabbi Yehuda, mater. Rabbi Yehuda says it is permissible. Here too, Rabbi Yehuda says we don't have to be concerned that someone's going to take the oil out of the lamp.
What was the purpose of doing that?
That's what he did. I don't know. That's what he did. But this is where, so again, we have the Tarakama against Rabbi Yehuda in both these cases. The Bartanura says, halacha kachachamim, halacha like the sages, meaning like the first opinion, that you would not be able to do any of these things. The only thing you could do is if you actually build the lamp with the reservoir built into it, then already they say there's no concern that people will come and take the oil from it. Have a wonderful day, an easy fast, and a meaningful one.
Let me see the pictures. I can't see that.